Welcome to episode number 6 of The Cycle. Your USA Baby Blue Memories bringing you these, and we're hoping you're enjoying them. It is a Monday, Championship Monday, or at least what we thought would be 3 results already given in for Lac St. Louis. Unfortunately, just one, but it was a good one here for our community. We'll look at that, plus 2 championship games scheduled for tonight, which were originally scheduled for yesterday, but Mother Nature still has a grip, it seems, on those 2 gold medals, and we're hoping that we're able to award those 2 medals later on tonight. U13Bs, in case you haven't heard, have won the Lac St. Louis Regional Championship and are moving on to provincials. We spoke with head coach Ronnie Stacy. We'll speak a little bit later on. We'll hear what Ronnie had to say on behalf of what his Warhawks were able to do this year. Let's take a look at some of the other games that have happened and that are happening. Earlier this weekend, Bantam Chattagee Raiders football featuring Forgon Hawaii Rono, a tough 23-14 road loss in the rain. That was yesterday against St. Laurent. The Spartans, the Raiders fall to 1-1. Spartans 1 win and 1 loss. And the Pee Wee Raiders, 80-6. How about that? They were large and in charge from the get-go against St. Lazare Stallions. Mosquitoes and the St. Lazare Stallions were supposed to play as well, but that game got canceled. The Raiders hoping to be back in action this weekend. That would be a home game for them on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Kahunawagi's girls U17 soccer team in a battle for first place, taking on the team which currently occupies the top spot at Raymond Pittsfield tonight. That'll be a 9 o'clock start. Kahunawaga against Mercier. Those 2 teams separated by 6 points for first place in the league standings. Now let's take a look at what happened this past weekend, and really this past week, because 2 weeks ago here on the show, we spoke about how 3 teams were starting their regional runs, and all 3 believed in themselves, and all 3 believed that they had a good chance. Well, all 3 are going to medal. 1 already has a gold, and the other 2 are going for gold medal games tonight. That's because Mother Nature decided to step in and make the field conditions unplayable during the U15B's game. The U15s are the home team taking on Soulange in the championship. They will start that game tonight at 7 o'clock at Brook Park in Pierrefonds. And the Warhawks are going to be playing at the beginning of the bottom of the first. They have a runner on first base via a walk. Teho and Nordu Daibo walk to lead off the bottom of the first. There will be an 0-1 count on Rohahio Stacy, because that's when the umpires just said this is unplayable. And to be honest, when we looked at Park Bedard Field yesterday, when we left, it almost resembled like a bit of a swimming pool on the infield. So we're really hoping that the game scheduled there for tonight, which we'll get into a little bit later, is able to get through as well. But that U15 team, they are 5-0, unbeaten in this tournament, unbeaten in these regionals. Of course, a spot for provincials on the line. U15B's 12-2 winners over the Pierrefonds Red Sox. 10-6, they beat the first place team of the regular season, the St. Laurent Retro Crush, and then a 12-3 win over the DDO Royals. So that put them into the quarterfinals, where they mercy ruled the St. Laurent Green team 13-3, and then a 7-3 win against the DDO Blue Jays. This team, by the way, is giving up less than 1 run per inning in this tournament, which is just unbelievable. In fact, it's very rarely even heard of for a team to be giving up this few runs per game. So that team of aces, really with 3 legitimate number 1s and then a couple of other players who you can throw in there to pitch, they look like they're focused and ready to go to the gold. They have, of course, shut out Soulange for the first inning of that game, and they'll resume things tonight in the bottom of the first. Head coach John Mayo spoke about his team's outlook on the final.
Forward to playing tonight. Our game got canceled yesterday due to rain. So tonight our game will be held at Brook in Pierrefonds. We're going for gold. We continue with the same game as yesterday. 1 man on base, 1 man up. The other team 3 up, 3 down. We got them on. My kids are happy. They're looking forward to it. There should be no reason we don't take home the gold, man.
You sound really, really pumped there. But the big question I think we all have is, especially when you're that geared up and charged up and ready to play a championship game, and then suddenly something which you can't control takes over, was will the rainout affect his team?
The only difference about the rainout game from yesterday is they had one pitcher uneligible to pitch because he overpitched the last game and he needed 2 days rest. So with the rainout game, he'll be eligible to pitch today, but I'm not worried about it. My team can hit, my team can play. I have faith in them.
Of course, the U15Bs, by the way, that confidence, it's not exactly for no reason because they won the regular season championship last year and were 10-1 this year before being moved up to A. Again, that'll be a 7 o'clock start in Pierrefonds at Brook Park. U15B Warhawks going for the gold against Soulange, who actually had a runner on second base. There was a leadoff double, and then with a 2-0 count, by the way, they decided to send this guy over to third base. Daibo behind the plate, Daibo behind the plate, threw the runner out going to third, and then back-to-back strikeouts led us to what was the end of the top of the first. They got a 4-pitch walk issued out to the aforementioned Daibo to start the bottom of the first, and then the first pitch of the at-bat to Rohahio Stacy was fouled off, and then the umpires just said, that's it. I thought it was a good decision on their part. Soulange, by the way, coming into this game, also 5-0. Their last game was an 8-7 win over the Surwa Orioles. So that should be an interesting one. They're going to be playing in the bottom of the first, and we'll see if Soulange's pitching staff gets a little bit of a jolt because of the excess pitching in which their pitcher pitched Friday against the Surwa Orioles. U18s. So this team has had a little bit of a roller coaster-ish start to this tournament. They lost via a forfeit against Soulange, a game which they were winning, by the way. They were up 7-6 in the bottom of the fifth when a player got thrown out. And here is head coach Jesse Lahash on how that unfolded. And it's not like a regular season where you can kind of get away with having 8 and just having 2 play in the outfield, which, by the way, is like a recipe for disaster if that ball gets by your infield. And so with that, the Warhawks were automatically disqualified, and Soulange was given a 7-0 win. So what that ended up doing was it relegated the Warhawks to pretty much finish 4th out of 5 teams in their division because another team in their division, the Surwa Red Sox, folded all of their games. So all opponents who they had were given 7-0 wins. So 2 of the teams that were given 7-0 wins in their division were the other 2 teams who the Warhawks finished tied with at 1 win, 1 loss. Now, would you know that the league doesn't look at runs for, runs against differential during the round robin for these tiebreakers? It's about the minimum amount of runs which you give up per inning. So because the Warhawks were declared 7-0 losers to Soulange, Soulange was declared as giving up 0 runs over a complete 7-inning ballgame, as were the other 2 teams who were awarded those round-robin victories, if you will, over the Surwa Red Sox. So even though the Warhawks came out, looked very businesslike in their 15-6 win over St. Lazare, finished with the same record as the Mustangs, and were awarded 4th out of 5 teams. So here they go, coming up against St. Laurent, which was really like an 8 versus 9 elimination game to see who moves on to the quarterfinals. Kobe Lahash literally hurdles a guy at second base to steal. Jumps right over him, something I don't think I've ever seen before. Instead of sliding underneath the second baseman, this young man jumped over the second baseman to get the steal. So they went 13-1, and they move on to the quarterfinals against the Lachine A's. And after 1 inning, the Warhawks are shut out. The A's have a 5-0 lead, and it was time for the Warhawks to dig deep. Here's what Coach Lahash had to say about that. And that pitching staff held the A's to 1 run in the last 5 innings of play. Warhawks 9-6 winners to move on to the semifinals, which was a little bit less, dare I say, climactic, as they ended up topping the DDO Royals 15-3. And that means the Warhawks are right here. The championship game against, wouldn't you know it, a team who they've played twice against and have not been able to complete a game, the Soulages Cougars. Now, we mentioned the last game was called because of a disqualification. The Warhawks had a player that was ejected, so they weren't able to finish the game. The first game these two teams went head-to-head, Soulages was caught using what was alleged to be T-balls and had to forfeit the match in the top of the fifth, or in the bottom of the fifth, sorry. And you know what the score was? 7-6 Warhawks. You know what the score was of the game where the round-robin game where the Warhawks had to forfeit? It was 7-6 Warhawks. Let's hope we can go past 4 innings tonight. Here's what Lahash had to say, however, about his team going into tonight's matchup, especially with the rain out, and now this being moved back another 24 hours. .45 start time tonight at Parc Bédard, which is hopefully going to look more like a baseball field rather than a pool like it did at the end of the bottom of the first yesterday for the U15 Bantams. By the way, what Coach Lahash was alluding to, Cayman Daigo not going to be able to make it tonight. He's a valuable member for that team. And Duttas Cross, who unfortunately was injured in the quarterfinals, I believe, against the Lachine, or the semis. Sorry, check that. The semifinals on Thursday night against the DDO Royals. So those two are out, but they will get Max Goodleaf back to dress for tonight's game. So hopefully the U18s and the U15s can pull off gold medal victories. Again, those start times, the U15s are in Pierrefonds at Brook Park tonight at 7 o'clock against Soulages. They will start, by the way, in the bottom of the first with a runner on. So if you get there at like 6:50 and you see that the Warhawks already have a runner on first base, don't be confused. And don't forget the Warhawks will be the home team. And then 7:45 tonight, Parc Bédard, St. Lazare, Warhawks, U18s playing against Soulages. They will be the road team, and nobody has any runners aboard, though, for that one. So that should be a fun one, I should say, 7:45 start time. And now we'll look at the team which has already completed their Lac St. Louis regionals, the U13Bs. What an unbelievable year this team had. It was, speaking of roller coasters, this team was 3-4 at one point. They had just dropped a 15-12 game against the previously unbeaten West Island Red Sox, who they were playing. They just lost a 15-12 decision there. Went into Lachine to take on the Lachine A's. The Lachine A's were actually given an extra run in that game. So it was 11-10 heading into the open inning for the A's, when realistically we looked through the game fill and everything. It should have been 10-10. Warhawks come back. They score 4 runs. They hold the A's in check. They go to 500. I don't know if anyone in their wildest dreams would have thought this would have led to a 6-0 demolition of their opponents in the Lac St. Louis regionals, where they outscored their 6 opponents by a combined 32 runs. That's over 5 runs a game, folks. And it started off very, very well. They scored the first 9 runs against the Chateauguay Red Sox. They won that one 14-7. The second game, they were on the road. They were considered the road team for the game against St. Lazare Gray, who, by the way, is a powerhouse, 13-2 in their division. They score 5 runs in the first and never trail in the game, winning 13-11. And then the real interesting game came later on against the Chateauguay Red Sox Blue. We'll call them Blue Sox for short, because please, I'm not saying Red Sox Blue more than once on this broadcast. So the two teams go in, and the game is tied 1-1 after the first inning. And then the starting pitcher for the Red Sox Blue, there's twice, strikes out 7 straight Warhawks. 7 straight. But the last 2 batters which he faced, Jackson Norton, Lily Barnes, take him 8 pitches each. So he has to throw 16 pitches to get these 2 players. And now he's at 54 pitches for the game. And remember, this is when the Blue Sox have to play the next day if they win. So anything over 55 pitches, that pitcher cannot pitch. So it's a fork in the road moment right here. And he comes out. And then the Warhawks end the game on a 6-0 run. Win the game 8-7. By the way, the Ganawagi pitching staff in the clutch came up huge in that inning, including the open inning where they held the Blue Sox to 0. They held the Blue Sox to 0 for the final 2 innings. And that brought us to the game against Mercier the following day. Now, Mercier was 16-1 coming into this game. 16-1! And the Rays actually maxed out in the first. It was 5-4 heading into the top of the second when Rustin Delaway Gabriel became like a YouTube sensation, hitting a home run over the 260 sign in center field at the Hospital Ball Field. That ball left the park. And the Warhawks did not look back after that. They won 14-7. Then they win 13-2 against St. Lazare Red in the semifinals. And then the final game yesterday against the Pierrefonds Yankees. You know what? This team dug deep because for 2 to 3 innings, they did not look like they could solve the Yankees pitching staff. But Jaden Norton, Casey Delabous were dynamite on the mound. And then they sent it to Jackson Norton to close. And he did his thing, not giving up a run. So this team, winning 15-9 over Pierrefonds yesterday. Here's what Ronnie Stacey had to say about what it felt like to win.
All after being asked by Brandon what it felt like to see the U13 B team win the regional championship, I have to say it felt amazing watching all these kids grow, learn their positions, gain confidence in the game. More than a handful who are first year or second year baseball players, with the rest being athletes from other sports because their sports were shut down, and then finding a passion for baseball, fighting at the beginning of the year just to keep our team above 500 in the standings, and then powering through to finish in the top 5 on Island League was crazy amazing. Every one of these players were able to find their strengths, stand out. We get to the regionals to go 5-0 in the opening in the tournament play to get to the final, and then blast the Yankees who finished first place in our division.
Yeah, that's right. Pierrefonds won the head-to-head meeting in the regular season with the Warhawks 12-3. But the Warhawks put up 15 yesterday and looked like a team that was way different than any team we've seen in the regionals. So that means Ganawagi moves on to the provincials, representing Lac St. Louis. The B tournament will be held in Varennes, which is on the 30, but you have to go east rather than go west. The Warhawks coach told us what he thought about his team going into the provincials, which would happen in a couple of weeks' time.
Do I think we have a chance in the provincials coming up on the weekend of September 10th? I'm right. I think we have a chance. These guys they've played with the best. They played against the best on the West Island. We proved ourselves in the regionals. There's maybe 2 teams in all of Quebec that have scored more runs than us, and most of them have played 20 games to our 17, 18. I'm not too sure, but do we have a chance? I think there's going to be some teams that'll give us a run for our money, but if we show up with a game that I know we have and that I know they can play, I don't think there's anybody that's going to be able to touch us. Going from the pitch count, it's going to be a crazy challenge for me to figure this out and to play 5 games in 3 days and be on their pitch count, but I think they got a chance.
And that will start on September 10th at 5:30. They got their first game, and that'll be against the champions from Outaouais, the Deux Rêves Giants. To prove more, like to Ronnie's point, those last 2 games against Pierrefonds and St. Lazare, in those 2 games, every single member of the Warhawks had a base hit. Each player on the Warhawks in the last 2 games had at least 1 base hit. That shows you that that team has come ready to play, and we're hoping to get the guys together for what, hopefully, let's knock on wood, could be like a tri-league championship celebration. Good luck to the U15B Warhawks. Remember, they play tonight, 7 p.m. at Brook Park in Pierrefonds against Soulanges. But they're not starting the game from the top. They're going to start it at the bottom of the first with one runner on first and an 0-1 count on Rogelio Stacy. 7 o'clock start there in Pierrefonds. 7:45 tonight in St. Lazare at Parc Bédard. U18 Warhawks taking on Soulanges. Good luck, both teams. We're hoping that we're going to be able to get the guys together again tomorrow to possibly pump up a three-peat and everything like that. I know, Brandon. Let's hold our horses here. We're 4 hours away or so from getting these games started. So good luck to everybody, and we'll speak to you again, if not tomorrow, in 2 weeks' time with a recap of the provincials as well as the regionals for the girls' teams, which will get started in the next week. I'm Brandon Bordeau. Thank you very much for joining us here on episode 6 of The Cycle on Igiway.